Hi, this is Bishop Craig in Lansing. This is take one for the week of November 8th. Peace be with you. I'm wearing Notre Dame sweatshirt today. So let me say up front that yes, indeed, I'm very proud of Notre Dame for beating the Clemson Tigers. And I am not so proud of Notre Dame for the way the fans, students stormed the field after the game. And I'm not happy seeing all those images on the news tonight. It's Sunday. But as a friend of mine reminded me, yeah, Craig, we never did anything stupid when we were in college. He. I think the virus is to the point that we need to not only do not what is stupid, we need to make sacrifices. Breaking news. I recommend the suspension of all indoor, in-person worship. Now back to your regular take one. I think it is important that we all wear masks, that we all keep social distancing, that we all keep our travel, our social interactions, our congregating together to a minimal. I really, really do. If we're going to come together, it is important to have contact tracing. At St. John's in Saginaw, where I was last week, everybody had to register, if you will, with name and phone number so that if, God forbid, someone got sick, the leadership could track down everybody that was at that service and let them know. If someone does test positive for the COVID virus and they have been to church, they do have an obligation to let the church know. The church has an obligation to let those who are in worship know. I'm a fan of transparency rather than cover up so that we are not accused. Church has an obligation to shut down for 2 weeks, and everybody has an obligation to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. I say all this because I'm beginning to get the quiet phone calls seeking counsel because people are coming to church to worship in our congregations and then finding out that they have tested positive for the COVID virus. I'm not going to tell you who, and I'm not going to tell you where, because that is not my place. But please know that ELCA Lutherans are not immune. Okay? So we really need to take this thing seriously. Please, friends. Please. And I won't do any more preaching about COVID virus. I'm going to bite my tongue. My week this week is, I think, 5 or 6 Zoom meetings, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Thursday, Kathy and I drive to and from Chicago in a day so that I can see my ophthalmologist as we continue to be aware of my right eye after the surgery I had in July. I would welcome your prayers. It is pretty nerve-wracking to drive to and from Chicago, be in a hospital in a day when you really can't stop either way. So I ask your prayers. The reading for Sunday, the 15th, the gospel reading, it's the last green Sunday, if you will, of the year. The 22nd is the Feast of Christ the King, which I'll say something about next week. And then we are into Advent already. The parable that we will hear is again from Matthew 25. It's another parable about the end times. And what it does for me is to say, if you watched my sermon from last Sunday, I called for holy patience, knowing that the bridegroom would be delayed. This week's reading Jesus reminds us that patience is not passive. That we are called, as we wait, we are to be active. Indeed, we are to risk. The story is about a landholder, a rich guy who goes away and entrusts 3 of his servants with money, 1 10 talents, 1 5, 1 1, and he is gone a long time. And when he comes back, he wants to know what they did with the money. And the one who had 10 got another 10. The one who had 5 made it another 5. The one who had 1 put it in a hole, and he didn't lose any money, but he didn't make anything. And he explained himself saying, I was afraid. And so, wow, we can be so afraid of doing it wrong, of not getting it right, of failing, that we do nothing. And Jesus seems to be saying that that is not how to wait for the kingdom of heaven to come. That waiting patiently involves some trying, some risk-taking. And as I hear the parable, I'm reminded what my parents said to me and what Kathy and I tried to teach our daughter, that it's always about trying your best. And it's always about trying your best. So we succeed and we fail, but more importantly, did we try our best? And I think that's a good question for the church to be asking itself today as we wait for the bridegroom to come, as we wait for the coming of the kingdom of heaven. Are we trying our best? Are we trying our best, pastors, to preach the word, administer the sacraments, nourish our people with the faith, pray for them? Congregations, are we trying our best to pray for our pastor, help and honor them for their work's sake? In all things, strive to live together in the peace and unity of Christ. Are we trying our best to model God's reconciling love as we witness in the community in the aftermath of an election? Are we trying our best to demonstrate love for one another as we decide whether or whether not to put on a mask? I wear a mask because I love you and don't want to get you sick. Are we trying our best? And how are we risking? And when we fail, do we beat ourselves up, or do we say, you know what, at least we weren't afraid, and we move on? And risking, I don't want to say what risking means, but what I do want to say is we shouldn't assume. Okay? I think what the good people of St. John's in Saginaw did last Sunday was really risky business. To decide the time had come, as I said in the sermon, the hour had come for the Son of Humanity to be glorified. And after 168 years of ministry, to decide it was time to follow Jesus and to give up their life for the sake of God's kingdom's coming in the future, I think that was really risky business. And I guess we can, debate about that. And thankfully, everything I've seen, people agree that it was the right time. But it's really risky business. Sometimes the riskiest thing we can do is to be honest with ourselves, with God, with others, and say, this is where we're at, and this is what we're prepared and able to do, and this is what we can't do, won't do. And all of that can be risky. So I think the first part of being risky is being honest. Second part of being risky is realizing that things are going to change. Then there's the whole taking the risk and knowing we may fail. I mean, it all worked out well for the three servants in the story, or at least two of the three. They invested and turned a profit. The third one didn't lose anything, but hey, there could have been a pandemic and the stock market could have gone bust. And they might have said to the landowner, we lost everything. I kind of hope and pray and trust that the landowner we know, the God revealed in Jesus Christ, would thank us for trying or appreciate that we're trying even if we failed. I hear my parents in my head this week telling me that we always try our best. And I hear Kathy and and I saying that to our daughter. And I think Jesus is saying that to the church. It's not about being afraid and playing it safe. It's about trying our best, even when that's a risk. Because the kingdom is coming, and even as we are patient, we're not passive. That's my thoughts for Take One this week, the week of November 8th. The peace of Christ be with you always. Take care.